Alright, so how's everybody doing? Today we're doing a little do-it-yourself project. We're making a pen slip. The brown material I got here is marine grade vinyl, so it's UV resistant. It's generally used in like the recovering of boat seats and that kind of thing. I had some left over from another project I was doing, but it's really nice to work with. It's got almost like a fabric backside to it, so it doesn't really require a liner for this job. Um, and, you know, I'm not really someone who's like super into sewing and leather craft and that kind of stuff, so whatever I can do to make my job easier is good for me. Um, Basically, all you see me doing here is cutting the pieces so that they're relatively square. I'd give you measurements on what I'm doing, but ultimately it's going to be a little bit different for every pen. And as you'll see here, I'm not really measuring anything. I'm using that ruler as a straight edge, and the guidelines on the green cutting mat, basically, like I said, just to make sure that it's relatively square. Um, but you'll see why towards the end of this. It doesn't have to be a super precise sized piece. So now that we've got that rectangle shape cut out, you're going to need whatever pen it is that you're going to use to kind of start getting a feel for where things are going to fall into place. I have the Monteverde black tie Invincia with the carbon fiber barrel on it. Nice pen, something that, worth making this up for so it doesn't bang around next to all the other stuff that I've got, depending on how it's stored. So, quick and easy. You got it folded over just in half the long way, and I'm just cutting the notch here for where that pocket clip is actually going to fit into the front of this. Once you've done that, you actually want to clip the pen right into it. We're going to do most of this project with the pen actually inside there, so you get like a really good kind of custom fit. I'm just kind of getting everything lined up, and basically all we're going to do in this next step is use the stapler you see there to kind of pinch the edge and make it so that with the pen inside and the material folded over on itself, it's not really going to move around as we're trying to stitch things together. And, keep checking your alignment every now and again and just work your way down the side. And you're going to put these staples fairly close to that outside edge. And again, you'll see why towards the end of this. But you can also see when you go to lay out your material that you want a fairly good amount of extra material really past what you're going to use to allow you some room to do the stitching work and to give you something to hold on to while you do it. So now I'm just using my fingers down here on the bottom to see where the bottom of the pen is inside there. And again, I'm cutting off the excess material I don't need that's going to make the bottom of this, but allowing myself plenty of room to put in those stitches and trim it up a little bit later on. Alright, so we got everything together. This here is it's a speed stitching awl is what they call it. You can get them at Walmart, Amazon, eBay, leather stores, whatever. Comes with two different needles. I'm going to use the straight one because I honestly have no idea what the curved one is for. So there's that. This isn't, a highly detailed project where you need a ton of experience, working with these types of materials or anything else. I've not made a ton of these, and I've also not made a lot of other stuff. And, this is something you can, you can get the hang of quite quickly to get pretty reasonable looking results. So um, the thread that I'm using is just the standard wax thread that the stitching awl actually came with. So again, nothing really special there, but it's a strong, good quality material that's marketed towards, sewing canvas and leather items and that kind of stuff. So it's pretty durable stuff. It's going to last you a while, and the color of it is a decent complement to the brown vinyl that I've got to work with too. So, all right. Now, once you do that, the most important thing with using this stitching awl, since it's kind of an auto feed type thing, the spool stores the rest of the thread you're going to use inside the handle, is you need to measure out the original piece that you're going to use to lock these together. And you basically want about a little bit more than twice the length of whatever it is that you're going to try and stitch. So you can see that I've pulled that out. You're going to kind of use your fingers to work the material together so it's holding up against the pen fairly snug. And then you're going to put your first hole for your first stitch in at the top, up by the top of the cap. And depending on how much you want your cap to stick out of the finished product, depends on where you put this. Mine is pretty close to even with the top of the cap, so that the entire pen, for the most part, is going to be inside the slip. So it's very well protected. And then you're just going to continue doing this same process where you kind of pinch the material together so it's snug around the pen, and again you're getting that kind of custom fit to that specific pen as you work your way down. And I put in a stitch probably every 3/16 of an inch, something like that. And you just keep working away at it. And this stitching awl, you basically push it through, you pull back a little bit, it forms a little loop, and that long tag you put through the loop, and as you pull it back out, the two pieces kind of tighten against one another, and you can pull it until it snugs up. So, as you can see, we've moved along pretty good at this point. I'm getting down towards the base of the pen, which is, of course, still inside here. And, you're going to continue just the same way around and kind of make a L-shaped pattern with the stitching so that it closes off the bottom of this. once you get around and you've got all the way to the edge, you're basically going to pull the last stitch, and rather than go back through for making another one, you're going to leave uh, some extra string hanging out so that you've got the remainder of your tag you've been passing through the loop every time to make the stitch, and basically a new tag, which you'll see in just a minute here, on the opposite side of things. So you've got two pieces that you can then tie together in just a basic square knot, um, so that you've got something to kind of finalize everything and keep it from, basically unraveling. Um, Super easy, and when you cross them over and make your square knot basically in front of where the leather is, it also, or the vinyl in this case, it also kind of cinches everything up so you don't have that little kind of kick out at the bottom, and the face of the entire thing comes down in a nice straight line, um, which I'll show you towards the end of this as well. Hope the quality of the recording today isn't too bad. I took the video and I've had to do some voiceover work, basically with everything that's going on right now. We've got everybody here home from work, home from school, whatever, and it's difficult to find quiet time to actually record things and not have a whole bunch of background noise going on. So I got to kind of pick and choose my moments. I was able to get the video done in one part of the day, and of course now I'm doing uh, the voiceover part of it at a different time. But it'll all come together in the end. Alright, so there's that last stitch. You see we pull out a little bit extra there off the spool, and then I'm just going to cut that so we have those two longer tags that I mentioned. You've got the one that was left from locking in the stitches, and the one that we just created there by pulling that extra out. And now I'm just going to tie a square knot right in the front of this and then double it up so we get a nice secure lock to stop our stitches from coming undone. And then as a little extra measure, because this is the wax thread, it does allow you a little bit of flexibility in how you secure things and trim them up. So I'm going to cut this until it's maybe a little bit less than a quarter inch or so, and we're just going to use a lighter to melt the end of that and then just smush it in place real quick with your finger. You may be able to find something else. It's not hot, but this is not something for everybody, I guess. So burn it real quick, get it to melt, and then smush it with your finger. And again, this basically is working like a glue, more or less, to stop that square knot from coming undone. So again, now we've got a really secure lock in place, and here is that part I was talking about where we have those staples far out from the edge so we can trim in between the staples and the stitching and get a nice, clean, neat, finished look. I probably leave a good 1/8 inch or so of material in between the edge and where the stitching actually runs through, so it's still got enough material there to stay in place. And then we're going to take the pen out and trim the top so that has a nice clean look to it. And you don't want to go crazy trimming this top section off. You want to make sure that that top stitch is completely surrounded by vinyl. You don't want to cut into your stitching at all. But that's it. Yeah, looks good to me. Doesn't require any extra finishing, no dyeing, no burnishing, no waxing to keep it protected or anything like that. It's just basically done and good to go. And, little projects like this save me some extra money so I can buy a little nicer pen maybe or something like that, especially since I'm making it out of scraps I just happen to have, hanging around from other projects already. Let me know what you think down below. Have a great night. Thanks for watching.